Hello, everyone, and welcome to another C++ VTM. This time around, it's Module 3. We're taking a look at game design. This is the first game that we're going to design from start to finish in a VTM. My name is Jason Busby, also known as Buzz from 3dbuzz.com, and joining me today, we've got Mr. Dan Bissell and Mr. Joel Van Inwick, also known as Bingo. How's it going, Joel?
I'm going all right.
All right, Dan, how you doing?
I am doing fine.
Now
Fine.
Now, we have just embarked on an incredible journey. We're going to try to get across a ton of information within the next few hours that may have some difficult concepts for people.
Yeah, but we're going to try and do it in such a way that we can build upon the concepts one by one.
Piece by piece.
And link them together. And in the end, you'll sit back, you run the program, and you'll say, wow.
That all makes
I
sense.
made that?
Exactly. Now, of course, by this point, hopefully everybody that's watching this has gone through the C++ Module 1 and Module 2, where we've gotten all the way up to the point where we've gone through just some basic programming, you know, looping and conditional branching and stuff like that. And we've also taken a look at object-oriented programming with the introduction of classes and inheritance.
Right.
And we've made things kind of interesting, but we haven't really done anything cool yet.
It's all been examples.
Simple examples.
Yeah, and now we're going to do a project.
Yeah, and now it's going to be cool. Now, I'll say this, for starters, in the introduction here, we're going to show what this game looks like. And it's not going to look cool, right?
No.
I mean, we're used to seeing...
You know, when I was a kid...
Yeah.
This is cool.
Okay, yeah,
and,
this is
the old
Atari 2600
This
days.
was the best stuff ever. Even on the computer. This was before we had 4 colors.
Right. So we are going to be kind of limited before we do our port, which we'll talk about in a minute, in regards to colors, right?
That's right.
Black, white.
Yep.
Now, the idea of this particular VTM, of course, is not to dive into a complex graphics engine.
No.
But we're headed that way, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We're going to get into some really cool stuff. But we've got to start out by first just showing all the logic that goes into creating an engine that will run smoothly and manage all of these different events that are going on.
That's right, basically what it takes to create a working game.
Exactly. And this is a great place to start. So with that, Joel, let's see what you and Dan have put together.
All right, you want to first look at the game, or you want to...
pull the game up, just so we know what we're talking about.
So let me just run it for a second.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, we have to put our own music in because we're not doing sound.
And see, I'm the little character on the top left here.
And you see the little snake-looking guys that are going after him. Well, Dan, you want to talk a little bit about those snake-looking guys that are going after them? I mean, they're actually looking for them.
Yes, they are. I was having so much fun with the music there. Yeah, we have dollar signs, which are actually little AI bots you could think of, and they're running around our level chasing the player.
Right.
And, Joel, if you let that guy touch you, you'll actually find out that they can hurt us.
We now he starts back in the upper left-hand corner.
Right, but you'll have a number of lives.
You'll see that Joel can shoot fireballs.
And how do they respond to the fireballs?
Well, sometimes they'll dodge them.
Hey, that's pretty interesting.
The way that we set up the code...
You died again.
It looks... The snake winds up looking to see if there's an empty space, and it will try not to commit suicide.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So in other words, it has a very, very simple...
It has a very simple brain, but effective.
Yeah,
very effective.
Very cool. And another thing that everybody may have noticed was, if you run the game again real quick, Joel, take a look at the speed. You're managing the speed right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
In other words, as a matter of fact, go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Well, if we didn't manage the speed at this point, I mean, this is a very simple game compared to a lot of the games you see now. So this kind of game for a computer like the one we're using is very, very simple. It can run this with no problem at all. And if we didn't manage the speed, then these guys would be going at unbelievable speeds.
Yeah, our updating would be just
the game would be over in about half
a second.
Yeah.
Before a second hit, all 3 lives gone.
That's right. That's right.
So we're actually limiting it so that the game only runs at a certain speed.
And as a matter of fact, you've got it limited to...
I think at the moment I have it limited to 30 frames a second.
And look at the frame rate we're getting.
Oh,
isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. It is clean.
Oh, yeah.
Again, our viewers out there have to remember, this is a starting point for game design.
We're going to introduce a whole bunch of classes, their interaction with one another, and beyond that is just the design of putting together a game system.
The one guy dodged, and his buddy bought it.
Isn't that great?
That rocked.
Like we said, simple minds.
But effective.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Very cool.
All right.
Okay, so quickly, let's before we start talking about concept and looking at some of the classes, you've got the project up right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, we've got multiple files going on. I mean, we're dealing with an actual project this time around as opposed to just a simple C++ file.
Yeah, that's right. Up till now, we've been just working with one CPP file. So in the next lesson, actually, we'll be talking more about project management. But basically, we have all of our classes separated into different files, where we have a header file and a CPP file that goes along with it. And with this way, we can kind of separate it into files, which makes it a whole lot cleaner. If I wanted to look at the character class, I can look at it like that, and it's not cluttered with every other class altogether. It's a lot better.
The key here is that it's sort of like functions, where a function encapsulates an idea.
Right.
And in this case, we have files, and the files encapsulate an idea.
That's right.
And it just makes it easier to find.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
Much easier.
So, I mean, well, if you're troubleshooting anything specific, I mean, when you have everything broke up like this.
Oh, it makes it a whole lot easier.
And this game is relatively simple.
Yeah, it is.
Now, when you start dealing with really complex games, I mean, that obviously project management becomes very important because it can save you a significant amount of time.
I mean, you can look at it either this way, just by the files, or you can switch over to the class view here, and you'll notice that we have our character class, draw engine class, etc., etc.
Right. Okay, very cool. So let's go ahead and open up Photoshop.
All right.
And let's start off by just talking about the concept, what we have going on here.
Okay. Well, you can jump in anytime you want.
All right.
Okay. So I'll just start off here. Basically, we have a game. This game is the all-encompassing object. It's our game, our Evil Monkey game.
It's going to control how the game is running.
Right, how the game is running, how fast it's running.
That's the most important concept
Right.
that it will be in charge of.
And inside of this game, we have the draw engine. Now, the draw engine is I don't want to say separate class just yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, the draw engine is going to control everything with regards to what we see.
It knows how to draw on the screen.
Right.
That's
sole
its function.
purpose.
You call functions in it, and it will draw you a character.
That's right. So we don't have to worry about that if we want to do ports, say, to the Game Boy Advance.
Right.
Now, inside of that, inside of the game, we also have our level. Now, the level contains all sorts of things, doesn't it, Dale?
Oh, yeah, it does. It is the world that we are going to be playing in.
Right. We have our map inside of it. We have how our character dies, that
That's
kind of
right.
thing.
How the enemies run around.
How the enemies run around, how many enemies there are, all
right.
that sort of thing. And inside of our level, we have a sprite. Now, a sprite, what is a sprite? Usually, a sprite is considered a 2D, picture or map that has a position that you can move around and draw in different ways, basically.
Right.
In our case, since we're just dealing with simple ASCII graphics here, a sprite has a position, which is an X and Y value.
Yep.
It has a character to draw, so which ASCII character to draw, and the number of lives.
That's right. So the evil monkeys, or the little $ snakes,
Yep.
are a sprite.
They're a sprite.
And along with our character.
Yeah, pretty much any moving object that we have.
Yep.
Even the fireballs.
The level itself, which would be the walls,
Is a static object.
is a static object. It's not a sprite, but it is contained in the level.
It is contained in the level.
And the next slide.
Right. The next slide. Actually, let me just continue with the enemies and fireballs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll put in the maps.
Oh, there's the map.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a map.
So inside the level, we also have the map. So this is very important. This contains the data saying which
These are
pixel,
walls.
this is a wall,
That's
this
right.
is a space where someone can move, etc. That
Right.
kind of thing. So back to our sprite, we have this, but we also have, let's open this one up. Inside of our sprite, we have an enemy. Now, an enemy is a sprite, and it contains the functionality for the computer to move the guy around.
That's right. There are snakes. They're the
They're the
AI
snakes.
little bots that
Yep.
run around chasing the character.
We also have our character. The character is the user-controlled
Sprite.
character, sprite, which is also a sprite.
Which is a sprite. That's
Yep.
right.
Finally, we have the fireball, which is also a sprite, and it contains a position, character draw, all that sort of stuff.
But it's kind of a dumb sprite in the sense of
It just goes in one direction. Yeah. And it doesn't have much of a purpose to it.
Well, it does.
Kill
It's there
the
to
bad guy.
hunt, seek, and destroy.
Yeah, hunt,
Evil
seek, and
monkeys.
destroy.
The evil monkeys.
Evil monkeys. All right, so that's basically the whole design that we're going to have for our game.
Kind of the concept.
Yeah, the concept.
Now, let's get a little more technical here.
All right, let me just minimize this guy. All right.
This is what we start off with in the world.
Yes, it is.
A blank slate.
A blank slate.
That's it.
That's all that we got.
So throughout these lessons, we're going to be basically developing one specific class at a time.
That's right. And as we develop, we will be integrating them together.
That's right. So we can start actually seeing how it progresses and actually see things working. So we're not just going to create it and then boom, it works.
Well, we're just building it in a logical fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely stupid just to build the whole thing without ever testing it as you go.
Exactly.
It just wouldn't work.
It gives us reliability.
It
if
does.
we're able to test each class out and have it work together, the system itself will be more reliable.
Oh, definitely. So the first thing we're going to be creating is the game class. This is the little guy that's all alone, as we said before, that controls like the speed.
Yep, it'll have a loop.
The
and
inside
inside
game
that
loop.
loop,
The big game loop.
processing
That's right.
will occur.
Yeah.
Big game loop.
The big game loop, yeah. Next from that, we have our draw engine. We're going to develop this right after the game so that we can actually see something happening, so that we can put stuff on the screen.
Yeah, we want to be able to draw a character, and we're going to have to do for Windows some special Windows programming.
Yeah.
In order to get that to happen.
Yep. And just as a side note here, all we need, because of our design, we'll only need to change the draw engine class if we want to port it to pretty much any other system.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's the nice part. If you create a nice structured design with an object-oriented feel to it,
You can replace one component and put in another one with the same
functionality,
and it should work just fine.
Yep. Which makes cross-platforming really easy.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, we also have our sprite. Now, our sprite is, as we said before, our 2D image that has a position and all that stuff. And that's what we'll be creating next, so that we can have, our game drive our draw engine, and then the sprite is going to use the draw engine to actually display something on the screen.
That's right.
And then from that, we're going to develop our character. Now,
This is going to be inherited from Sprite.
yes, it's going to be inherited from Sprite, and it's going to add functionality to Sprite so that the user can make it move.
And that will be very fun because that'll be the first time we actually see some animation on the screen.
That's right.
As we hit the keyboard,
Some
it'll
interaction,
move.
yeah.
Interaction.
It won't have any little walls or something that we hit into.
No.
It's
just
but
going
it's
to
still
run
exciting
in
for the
space.
very
Oh,
first
yeah.
time getting that interaction where you're saying, "Hey, I'm making him move."
Oh, yeah. Next from that,
And at that
yeah.
point, really, now we've got several of the components of the game coming along, and we're really starting to see a lot of these things working together.
Yeah, there's going to be some interaction between the classes already. From there, we're going to develop our level class. Inside the level class, this is going to be interacting with all sorts of stuff. We're going to have the character inside of our level, so that, in our level, of course, as we talked about before, we have our map. Well, the character is going to need to be able to interact with that map
That's
so that
right.
it hits the walls and it knows what's happening then.
And we're going to wind up doing that by integrating level into Sprite.
Right.
And through the relationship of inheritance,
Yep.
character will know about it.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting look into development with object-oriented programming.
Yep, and of course our game is going to have an interaction with level and the draw engine, so everything starts tying in together.
That's right.
From there, we're going to develop our enemy. Now, enemy is also
A sprite.
a sprite. Is also going to be a sprite, and it's going
functionality.
right. It's going to inherit information from sprite.
And in that lesson, we'll be giving it a brain.
Yep, we'll be giving it a brain, a computer-controlled brain.
That's right.
IQ equals 2.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 5.
So from there, we're going to develop Mage. Now, Mage is a little bit special because it's inheriting from character. Well, character allows the user to control stuff, right?
That's right.
But we're going to go one step further with Mage and allow the Mage to start firing something.
Ooh, what's it going to fire?
Fireballs.
Fireballs!
Oh, yeah, and that's where Fireball comes in. Fireball is also inherited from Sprite.
That's right.
But it's pretty important that how we're setting this up, where we're inheriting from character. We're doing this for one really big reason.
Right.
What if we wanted to have different types of characters
Yeah.
that can be in the game?
For example, we could have an archer.
Yeah, we could have an
we could have
archer
a fighter
Exactly.
that
There you
wields
go.
a spear
Right,
or a
you have to
sword
get
or
next to
something.
the enemy and hit him.
That's right.
Right,
Yeah.
but by the way that this is being designed, we're making adding that functionality very simple.
Very, very simple.
That's the key thing to keep in mind here.
And if I just turn on this inheritance flow for a second, you'll notice that as we're talking about, enemy inherits from Sprite, character inherits from Sprite, and Fireball inherits from Sprite.
That's right.
And then Mage inherits from character. So all of that works together.
Now get ready.
Whew.
Now this will look
Scary.
scary.
Yes.
Yes.
But as we build it up, it'll look fine.
Dink. Now, this is sort of the interaction that we have between all the classes. As you can see, it's a tightly woven net.
Yes.
I mean, everything is going to be working together. As you can see, the level communicates with the sprite. The sprite communicates with the level. Or do you have any other examples?
Enemy, for example,
Yeah.
needs to know about level.
Needs to know
And-
what
And
to
he
fly
needs to know
with.
about the character.
And he needs to know about the character
Well,
it's
because
gonna
the character is going to be the
hunting.
And he's
goal.
going to be hunting.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep. And it's just the flow of how we communicate between the classes, not the inheritance. That's the red line.
Yeah.
The green line is just how we
Right.
communicate.
I mean,
with
yeah,
each other.
if you take off the inheritance flow, just to make things a little easier to see, I mean, we've got an enemy that needs to be drawn. We've got fireballs that need to be drawn.
Yep.
We've got the mage is going to need to be drawn. The mage is going to need to deal with fireballs, which are going to exist in the level.
Yep.
I mean, if you really just look at this,
It all makes sense.
It all makes sense. It just looks scary because there's all these arrows just going all over the place.
Right.
But I mean, in the end, I mean that's the whole idea of a game. You have all of these elements, tons of elements, that are all interacting. Yeah.
And after you get it all set up, adding extra functionality is extremely simple.
Well,
that's the whole idea.
Well, as long as it was designed
if it was
smartly.
designed right.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Just so everybody knows, we actually went through,
Many design
3
cycles.
or 4 iterations of this design
Right.
before we got to an area that we liked.
That's right. And that's fine. I mean, you can go through different, just to make it very, very stable.
Right. Well, very modular as
Yeah,
well.
very modular.
I mean, it is. Which is cool because for Module 3, in regards to homework, we could do some evil stuff to you poor students out there.
And we will.
Yeah, I know we will, without a doubt. But now we're going to take this even a step further at the very end, kind of as a bonus feature, if you will.
I like bonuses.
We are going to... You notice we use the word Sprite, our Sprite class, as opposed to our ASCII class.
Yeah.
Because we are going to get into some sprites. Now, what you saw on the screen was, maybe kind of a little 1980-ish or so.
Yeah.
I still think it's cool.
I know it is cool. But to be able to take this game when we're done and port it to the Game Boy, and actually seeing it played on the Game Boy Advance, I mean, that's
cool.
That's the bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, Mr. Dan has come up with some of the most amazing graphics you've ever seen.
You will see this game in all of its glory.
You will
and
cry.
you may see references to other video games from the past.
You may cry. I mean, it's that good.
It's that awesome. I mean, Dan went through hours and hours of work developing the little sprites.
That's right.
What was it, about 5 minutes?
Not to mention Joel figuring out how to port it.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, Joel spent a lot of time figuring out the port.
So when we get to the end, and we're not going to turn this into an entire Game Boy Advance porting lesson.
Yeah, because this is kind of the
get
intersection
huge.
between going to API development and game development.
Right.
We don't want to shoot down into game development entirely. This is kind of
at the moment,
the juncture.
Yeah,
right.
We're going to.
We're going to be
That's
talking about
coming
that
up.
kind of
As a
stuff.
matter of fact, that's coming up
soon. Oh, yeah.
And we're going to start getting into OpenGL and make things really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But we've kind of got to carefully step up our complexity.
That's right.
Because
we don't want to throw it all out at once.
We're going to start using these other libraries. And things are going to start looking really confusing quickly.
If you think that network is bad.
Exactly. So, it's best to kind of hold our viewers' hand and lead them into the lake as opposed to diving off a cliff with them and they've never swam before.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be bad. So at the end, we are going to show you this ported over. We are going to walk you through a little bit of it. And as a matter of fact, in this introduction lesson, we are going to snap to a camera shot in just a second where Joel will be jamming away on the Game Boy Advance with the same game that you just saw a second ago, with the exception of there won't be any ASCIIs in there.
No more.
It's going to look a little bit neater.
It's going to look a little cooler. It's going to look more like a game.
Yeah.
Now, answer me this, Joel.
Okay.
As a beginner thinking about it, aren't you going to have to change the whole thing around to make it work on the Game Boy?
See, that's the cool thing about making a nice design. For the Game Boy Advance port, all we needed to change was the draw engine and a little bit of input.
A little bit of the game.
A little bit of the game. And just a teeny weeny little bit.
But could you imagine having to rewrite
the
this
entire
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, that would just be bad.
Exactly.
But we just plunk out 2 components, plunk them back in,
and there you go.
And we're good.
So the whole idea, keeping it modular, makes it very simple to port the game over. And I think with this just being Module 3 for C++, I think we're really getting into some cool areas that I've never seen traveled in before in regards to other training videos. And I
think it's going to be cool.
Let's just hope it turns out well.
Yeah, I remember trying to learn this stuff from books years and years and years ago.
Woo! And see, I'm going to continue doing my job of playing the not-so-smart student. So I'm going to try to ask as many stupid questions as I can.
Oh, that's great.
Oh no, not again.
No.
And hopefully between the three of us, my questions and time to time when I jump in with just thoughts, I'm hoping that the three of us can get across the concept, the coding structure, and get you guys from point A to point B.
That's right. Yep. And if you get lost during that travel, use this video as a blueprint.
Exactly.
So you can come back and look at it and try and understand again the big picture.
The big picture, because it's very easy to get bogged down into what's going on in a particular class and lose focus of what's happening. And it's always a good idea to make sure you're clear in regards to the big picture.
Right, the overall design.
Yeah, while you're developing. So with that, I guess, Joel, we can go ahead and do a quick camera cut.
All right.
And see you jamming away on the Game Boy, getting chased around by your evil monkeys.
Ooh.
And then from that, we'll jump into the lessons, which let's go ahead and talk about real quick.
Okay.
The next lesson that we're going to do is going to be project management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So how to split our classes up into separate files and make it all clean.
And obviously this is important, so that everything builds, links, compiles properly.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
So from project management, then we're going to talk about the game loop class.
The important stuff.
The important stuff. So we're building it up in regards to what we was talking about a minute ago. After the game loop class, we'll go ahead and do the draw engine class.
So we can see stuff.
So we can see stuff. And then from there, we'll do the sprite base class. And this is important because, well, everything that's running around on the screen is deriving from it. Yeah, it's a sprite. From there, we'll get our character class going, which will be a lesson. The next lesson after that will be the level class. Then from there, the next lesson after that is going to be the enemy class, and then the Mage and Fireball class, and then finally the Game Boy Advance port, and that'll be a lesson as well. And that will take us through the VTM. In regards to how long this will be, I have no idea.
We're going to take as long as we need.
That's right, to make sure that it's as clean and as understandable as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And before we do the camera cut, I'll say one last thing. I'd like to thank Joel and Dan both for investing a significant amount of time in going through and working, reworking, smacking each other around, and then reworking.
And big yells, why did you change that function?
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me you changed that function? And I've been troubleshooting that for hours. But I really want to thank both of you guys for putting forth the effort to help those out there in 3D Buzz. And let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
So here comes the camera cut. You guys will see some quick GBA action. Okay, so here we are. Check it out, man. This is the Game Boy Advance SP.
It looks really nice up close.
Yeah, it's hard to see at the moment. I mean, I can try zooming in on it just a little bit, but look at that, man. Joel's playing. Look, he's got the little evil monkeys chasing around. He's running.
All the fireballs.
He's firing fireballs.
The evil monkeys are chasing.
Yep.
I got one.
Yep. So much nicer than the ASCII characters, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And again, this is what we're going to be looking at as we progress to the end.
And it's such a simple port.
Yeah, it is. But just come on. Oh, he's chasing.
Oh, man. Oh, wait, I'm going to get him.
Oh, man.
I'm going to get him.
He's pretty smart now. Look at that.
Oh, man. Kicked my butt.
Oh, yes, he did. And now you can see that there's 3 of them back running around as Joel completely stinks at his game.
Thank you.
Hey, they're evil monkeys.
They are.
They're doing their job
of
being evil.
Yeah,
that's right.
Even though I'm a good person.
So, who told you that? So anyways. Okay, well, so bottom line is, at the end, here's our game, now utilizing actual sprites. I mean, we're using real graphics.
Yep.
And it's been ported over to the Game Boy Advance SP. And how cool is that?
It's cool.
Mean, this is super cool. And so by the time you're done with this VTM, I mean, you guys will be ready to start doing some pretty interesting things and showing your friends. Nothing like bringing a Game Boy in and saying, check this out, that's what I did.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so with that, that's going to wrap up the introduction, and let's get serious.